Okay, for the sake of study, we're going to go over the IRC, which covers one family, two family dwellings, and accessory buildings. So once a duplex turns into a threeplex, that no longer is governed by the IRC. Once a townhome exceeds 3 floors or 3 family dwellings, it no longer is governed by the IRC. That will be the IBC. We're going to begin by reading Scope and Administration in the IRC, Section R101. These provisions shall be known as the Residential Code for 1 and 2 family dwellings and shall be cited as such and will be referred to herein as the Code. The provisions of this code shall apply to the construction, alteration, movement, enlargement, replacement, repair, equipment, use and occupancy, location, removal, and demolition of detached 1 and 2 family dwellings and townhouses no more than 3 stories above grade plane in height, with a separate means of egress, and their accessory structures not more than the 3 stories above grade plane in height. Exception: the following shall be permitted to be constructed in accordance with this code where provided with an automatic sprinkler system complying with Section P2904. Number 1, live work units located in townhouses and complying with the requirements of Section 508.5 of the International Building Code. Number 2, owner-occupied lodging houses with 5 or fewer guest rooms. Number 3, a care facility with 5 or fewer persons receiving custodial care within a dwelling unit. Number 4, a care facility with 5 or few persons receiving medical care within a dwelling unit. Number 5, a care facility for 5 or fewer persons receiving care that are within a single family dwelling. Purpose: the purpose of this code is to establish minimum requirements to provide a reasonable level of safety, health, and general welfare through affordability, structural strength, means of egress, stability, sanitation, light and ventilation, energy conservation, and safety to life and property from fire and other hazards, and to provide a reasonable level of safety to the firefighters and emergency responders during emergency operations. Section R102, Applicability. Where there is a conflict between a general requirement and a specific requirement, the specific requirement shall be applicable. Where in any specific case, different sections of this code specify different materials, methods, or construction or other requirements, the most restrictive shall govern. The provisions of this code shall not be deemed to nullify any provisions of local, state, or federal law. Applications of reference. References to chapter or section numbers or to provisions not specifically identified by number shall be construed to refer to such chapter, section, or provision of this code. Reference codes and standards. The codes and standards referenced in this code shall be considered part of the requirements of this code to the prescribed extent of each such reference as as further regulated in Section R102.4.1 and R102.4.2. Exception: where enforcement of a code provision would violate the conditions of the listing of the equipment or appliance, the condition of the listing and manufacturer's instructions shall apply. Conflicts: where conflicts occur between provisions of this code and reference code and standards, the provisions of this code shall apply. Provisions in reference codes and standards: where the extent of the reference to a referenced code or standard includes subject matter that is within the scope of this code, the provisions of this code, as applicable, shall take precedence over the provisions in the reference code or standard. Appendices: provisions in the appendices shall not apply unless specifically referenced in the adopting ordinance. Partial invalidity. In the event any part or provision of this code is held to be illegal or void, this shall not have the effect of making void or illegal any of the other parts of provisions. Existing structures. The legal occupancy of any structure existing on the date of adoption of this code shall be permitted to continue without change, except as is specifically covered in this code, the International Property Maintenance Code, or the International Fire Code, or as deemed necessary by the building official for the general safety and welfare of the occupants and the public. Additions, alterations, or repairs. Additions, alterations, or repairs to any structure shall conform to the requirements for a new structure without requiring the existing structure to comply with the requirements of this code. unless otherwise stated. Additions, alterations, repairs, and relocations shall not cause an existing structure to become less compliant with the provisions of the code than the existing building or structure was prior to the addition, alteration, or repair. An existing building, together with its additions, shall comply with the height limits of this code. Where the alteration causes the use or occupancy to be changed to one not within the scope of this code, the provisions of the International Existing Building Code shall apply. Part 2, Administration and Enforcement. Section R103, Department of Building Safety. Creation of Enforcement Agency. The Department of Building Safety is hereby created, and the official in charge thereof shall be known as the building official. Appointment. The building official shall appoint by the jurisdiction. Shall be appointed by the jurisdiction. Deputies. In accordance with the prescribed procedures of this jurisdiction and with the concurrence of the appointing authority, the building official shall have the authority to appoint a deputy building official, the related technical officers, inspectors, plans examiners, and other employees. Such employees shall have powers as delegated by the building official. Section R104, Duties and Powers of the building official. The building official is hereby authorized and directed to enforce the provisions of this code. The building official shall have the authority to render interpretations of this code and to adopt policies and procedures in order to clarify the application of its supervisions. Such interpretations, policies, and procedures shall be in compliance with the intent and purpose of this code. Such policies and procedures shall not have the effect of waiving requirements specifically provided for in this code. Applications and permits. The building official shall receive applications, review construction documents, and issue permits for the erection and alteration of buildings and structures, inspect the premises for which such permits have been issued, and enforce compliance with the provisions of this code. Notice and orders. The building official shall issue necessary notices or orders to ensure compliance with this code. Inspections. The building official shall make the required inspections, or the building official shall have the authority to accept report of inspections by approved agencies or individuals. Reports of such inspections shall be in writing and be certified by a responsible officer of such approved agency or by the responsible individual. The building official is authorized to engage such expert opinion as deemed necessary to report on unusual technical issues that arise, subject to the approval of the appointing authority. Identification. The building official shall carry proper identification when inspecting structures or premises in the performance of duties under this code. Right of entry. Where it is necessary to make an inspection to enforce the provisions of this code, or where the building official has reasonable cause to believe that there exists in a structure or upon a premises a condition that is contrary to or in violation of this code, that makes the structure or premises unsafe, dangerous, or hazardous, the building official or designee is authorized to enter the structure or premises at reasonable times to inspect or to perform the duties imposed by this code, provided that if such structure or premises be occupied, that credentials be presented in the occupant and entry requested. If such structure or premises is unoccupied, the building official shall first make a reasonable effort to locate the owner, the owner's authorized agent, or other persons having charge or control of the structure or premises, and request entry. If entry is refused, the building official shall have recourse to the remedies provided by law to secure entry. Department records. The building official shall keep official records of applications received, permits and certificates issued, fees collected, reports of inspections, and notices and orders issued. Such records shall be retained in the official records for the period required for the retention of public records. Liability. The building official, member of the Board of Appeals, or employee charged with the enforcement of this code, while acting for the jurisdiction in good faith and without malice in the discharge of the duties required by this code or other pertinent law or ordinance, shall not thereby be rendered civilly or criminally liable personally, and is hereby relieved from personal liability for any damage accruing to persons or property as a result of any act or by reason of any act or omission in the discharge of official duties. Legal defense. Any suit or criminal complaint instituted against an officer or employee because of an act performed by the officer or employee in the lawful discharge of duties and under the provisions of this code shall be defended by legal representatives of the jurisdiction until the final termination of the proceedings. The building official or any subordinate shall not be liable for cost in any action, suit, or proceeding that is instituted in pursuance of the provisions of this code. Approved materials and equipment. Materials, equipment, and devices approved by the building official shall be constructed and installed in accordance with such approval. Used material and equipment. Used materials, equipment, and devices shall not be reused unless approved by the building official. Modifications. Where there are practical difficulties involved in carrying out the provisions of this code, the building official shall have the authority to grant modifications for individual cases, providing the building official shall first find that special individual reason makes the strict letter of this code impractical and the modification is in compliance with the intent and purpose of this code, and that such modification does not lessen health, life, and fire safety or structural requirements. The details of actions granting modification shall be recorded and entered in the files of the Department of Building Safety. Flood hazard areas. The building official shall not grant modifications to any provisions required in flood hazard areas as established by Table R301.2 unless a determination has been made that, number one, there is good and sufficient cause showing that the unique characteristics of the size, configuration, or topography of this site rendered the elevation standard of Section R322 inappropriate. Number two, failure to grant the modifications would result in exceptional hardship by rendering the lot undevelopable. Number three, the granting of modifications will not result in increased flood height, additional threats to public safety, extraordinary public expense, cause fraud on or victimization of the public, or conflict with existing laws or ordinances. Number four, the modifications is the minimum necessary to afford relief, considering the flood hazard. Number five, written notice specifying the difference between the design flood elevation and the elevation to which the building is to be built, stating that the cost of flood insurance would be commensurate without the increased risk resulting from the reduced floor elevation, and stating that the construction below the design flood elevation increases risk to life and property has been submitted to the applicant. Alternative material design and methods of construction and equipment. The provisions of this code are not intended to prevent the installation of any material or to prohibit any design or method of construction not specifically prescribed by this code. The building official shall have the authority to approve an alternative material, design, or method of construction upon applications of the owner or the owner's authorized agent. The building official shall first find that the proposed design is satisfactory and complies with the intent of the provisions of this code, and that the material, method, or work offered is for the purpose intended not less than the equivalent of that prescribed in this code in quality, strength, effectiveness, fire resistance, durability, and safety. Compliance with the specific performance-based provisions of the International Code shall be an alternative to the specific requirements of this code. Where the alternative material, design, or method of construction is not approved, the building official shall respond in writing, stating the reason why the alternative was not approved. Tests where there is insufficient evidence of compliance with the provisions of this code, or evidence that a material or method does not conform to the requirements of this code, or in order to substantiate claims for alternative materials or methods. The building official shall have the authority to require tests as evidence of compliance to be made at no expense to the jurisdiction. Test methods shall be as specific in this code or by other recognized test standards. In the absence of recognized and accepted test methods, the building official shall approve the testing procedures. Tests shall be performed by an approved agency. Reports of such tests shall be retained by the building official for the period required for retention of public records. Section R105, permits. Required, any owner's or owner's authorized agent who intends to construct, enlarge, alter, repair, move, demolish, or change the occupancy of a building or structure, or to erect, install, enlarge, alter, repair, remove, convert, or replace any electrical, gas, mechanical, or plumbing system, the installation of which is regulated by this code, or to cause any such work to be performed, shall first make application to the building official and obtain the required permit. Work exempt from a permit. Exemptions from permit requirements of this code shall not be deemed to grant authorization for any work to be done in any manner in violation of the provisions of this code, or any other laws or ordinances of this jurisdiction. Permits shall not be required for the following. This pertains to anything building related. Number 1, other than storm shelters, 1-story detached accessory structures, provided that the floor area does not exceed 200 square feet. Number 2, fences not over 7 feet. And number 3, retaining walls that are not over 4 feet in height, measuring from the bottom of the footing to the top of the wall unless supporting a surcharge. Number 4, water tanks supported directly upon grade if the capacity does not exceed 5,000 gallons and the ratio of height to diameter or width does not exceed 2:1. Number 5, sidewalks and driveways. Number 6, painting, papering, tiling, carpeting, cabinets, countertops, and similar finish work. Number 7, prefabricated swimming pools that are less than 24 inches deep. Number 8, swings and other playground equipment. Number 9, window awnings supported by an exterior wall that does not project more than 54 inches from the exterior wall and do not require additional support. Number 10, decks not exceeding 200 square feet in area that are not more than 30 inches above grade at any point, are not attached to a dwelling, and do not serve the exit door required by section R311.4. Electrical projects that do not require a permit are number 1, listed cord and plug connection temporary decorative lighting. Number 2, reinstallation of attachment plug receptacles, but not the outlets, therefore. Number 3, replacement of branch circuit overcurrent devices or the required capacity in the same location. Number 4, electrical wiring devices, appliances, apparatuses, or equipment operating at less than 25 volts and not capable of supplying more than 50 watts of energy. Number 5, minor repair work, including the replacement of lamps or the connections of approved portable electrical equipment to approved permanently installed receptacles. These are gas projects that do not require permits. Number 1, portable heating, cooking, or clothes drying appliances. Number 2, replacement of any minor part that does not alter approval or equipment or make such equipment unsafe. Number 3, portable fuel cell appliances that are not connected to a fixed piping system and are not interconnected to a power grid. Next is mechanical projects that do not require permits. Number 1 is portable heating appliances. Number 2, portable ventilation appliances. Number 3, portable cooling units. Number 4, steam, hot or chilled water piping with any heating or cooling equipment regulated by this code. Number 5, replacement of any minor part that does not alter approval or equipment or make such equipment unsafe. Number 6, portable evaporation coolers. Number 7, self-contained refrigeration systems containing 10 pounds or less of refrigerant or what are actuated by motors of 1 horsepower or less. Number 8, portable fuel cell appliances that are not connected to a fixed piping system and are not interconnected to a power grid. Next is finally, our plumbing projects that are not required to have building permits. Number 1, the stopping of leaks in drains, water, soil, waste, or vent pipe provided, however, that if any concealed trap, drain pipe, water, soil, waste, or vent pipe becomes defective and it becomes necessary to remove and replace the same with new material, such work shall be considered as new work and a permit shall be obtained and inspection made as provided in this code. Number 2, the clearing of stoppages or the repairing of leaks in pipes, valves, or fixtures, and the removal and reinstallation of water closets, providing such repairs do not involve or require the replacement or rearrange of valves, pipes, or fixtures. Emergency repairs. Where emergency replacement and repairs must be performed in an emergency situation, the permit application shall be submitted within the next working business day to the building official. Repairs. Application or notice to the building official is not required for ordinary repairs to structures, replacement of lamps, or the connection of approved portable electrical equipment to approved permanently installed receptacles. Such repairs shall not include the cutting away of any walls, partitions, or portion thereof, the removal or cutting of any structural beam or load-bearing support, or the removal of or change of any required means of egress or rearrangement of parts of a structure affecting the egress requirements. Nor shall ordinary repairs include addition to, alteration of, replacement, or relocation of any water supply, sewer drainage, drain leader, gas, soil, waste, vent, or similar piping, electric wiring, or mechanical or other work affecting public health or general safety. Public service agencies. A permit shall not be required for the installation, alteration, or repair of generation, transmission, distribution, metering, or other related equipment that is under the ownership and control of public service agencies by established right. Application for permit. To obtain a permit, the applicant should first file an application, therefore, in writing on a form furnished by the Department of Building Safety for that purpose. Such application shall, number 1, identify and describe the work to be covered by the permit for which application is made. Describe the land on which the proposed work is to be done by legal description, street address, and similar description that will readily identify and definitely locate the proposed building or work. Indicate the use and occupancy for which the proposed work is intended. Be accompanied by construction documents and other information as required in Section R106.1. State the valuation of the proposed work. Be signed by the applicant or the applicant's authorized agent. Give such other data and information as required by the building official. Action on application. The building official shall examine or cause to be examined application for permits and amendments thereto within a reasonable time after filing. If the application or the construction documents do not conform to the requirements of pertinent laws, the building official shall reject such application in writing, stating the reasons therefor. If the building official is satisfied that the proposed work conforms to the requirements of this code and laws and ordinances applicable thereto, the building official shall issue a permit therefore as soon as practicable. Determination of substantially improved or substantially damaged existing buildings in flood hazard areas. For applications for reconstruction, rehabilitation, addition, alteration, repair, or other improvements of existing buildings or structures located in flood hazard areas, as established by Table R301.2, the building official shall examine or cause to be examined the construction documents and shall make a determination with regard to the value of the proposed work. For buildings that have sustained damage of any origin, the value of the proposed work shall include the cost to repair the building or structure to its pre-damaged condition. If the building official finds that the value of proposed work equals or exceeds 50% of the market value of the building or structure before the damage has occurred, or the improvement is started, the proposed work is a substantial improvement or repair of substantial damage, and the building official shall require existing portions of the entire building or structure to meet the requirements of Section R322. For the purpose of this determination, a substantial improvement shall mean any repair, reconstruction, rehabilitation, addition, or improvement of a building or structure, the cost of which equals or exceeds 50% of the market value of the building or structure before the improvements or repair is started. Where the building or structure has sustained substantial damage, repairs necessary to restore the building or structure to its pre-damaged condition shall be considered substantial improvements, regardless of the actual repair work performed. The term shall not include either of the following: improvements to a building or structure that are required to correct existing health, sanitary, or safety code violations identified by the building official and that are the minimum necessary to ensure safe living conditions. Any alterations of a historic building or structure, provided that the alterations will not preclude the continued designation as a historic building or structure. For the proposed purpose of the exclusion, a historic building shall be any of the following: listed or preliminarily determined to be eligible for listings in the National Register of Historic Places, determined by the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Interior as contributing to the historical significance of a registered historic district or a district preliminarily determined to qualify as a historic district, designated as historic under a state or local historic preservation program that is approved by the Department of Interior. Time limitations of applications. An application for a permit for any proposed work shall be deemed to have been abandoned 180 days after the date of filing unless such application has been pursued in good faith or a permit has been issued, except that the building official is authorized to grant one or more extensions of time for additional periods not exceeding 180 days. The extensions shall be requested in writing and justifiable cause demonstrated. Validity of permit. The issuance or granting of a permit shall not be construed to be a permit for or an approval of any violation of any of the provisions of this code or of any other ordinances of the jurisdiction. Permits presuming to give authority to violate or cancel the provisions of this code or other ordinance of the jurisdiction shall not be valid. The issuance of a permit based on construction documents and other data shall not prevent the building official from requiring the correction of errors in the construction documents and other data. The building official is authorized to prevent occupancy or use of a structure where in violation of this code or of any other ordinance of the jurisdiction. Expiration. Every permit issued shall become invalid unless the work authorized by such permit is commenced within 180 days after its issuance or after commencement of work is more than 180 days passed between inspections. The building official is authorized to grant in writing one or more extensions of time for periods not more than 180 days. The extension shall be requested in writing and justifiable cause demonstrated. Suspension or revocation. The building official is authorized to suspend or revoke a permit issued under the provisions of this code wherever the permit is issued in error or on the basis of incorrect, inaccurate, or incomplete information, or in violation of any ordinance or regulation or any other provision of this code, or any of the provisions of this code. Placement of permit. The building permit or a copy shall be kept in this on-site of the work until the completion of the project. Responsibility. It shall be the duty of every person who performs work for the installation or repair of building structure, electrical, gas, mechanical, or plumbing systems for which the code is applicable to comply with this code. Preliminary inspection. Before issuing a permit, the building official is authorized to examine or cause to be examined buildings, structures, and sites for which an application has been filed. Section R106, Construction Documents. Submittal documents consisting of construction documents and other data shall be submitted in 2 or more sets or in a digital format where allowed by the building official, with each application for a permit. The construction documents shall be prepared by a registered design professional where required by the statutes of the jurisdiction in which the project is to be constructed. Where special conditions exist, the building official is authorized to require additional construction documents to be prepared by a registered design professional. Exception. The building official is authorized to waive the submission of construction documents and other data not required to be prepared by a registered design professional if it is found that the nature of the work applied for is such that reviewing of construction documents is not necessary to obtain compliance with this code. Information on construction documents. Construction documents shall be drawn upon suitable material. Electronic media documents are permitted to be submitted where approved by the building official. Construction documents shall be of sufficient clarity to indicate the location, nature, and extent of the work proposed and show in detail that it will conform to the provisions of this code and relevant laws, ordinances, rules, and regulations as determined by the building official. Manufacturer's installation instructions, as required by this code, shall be available on the job site at the time of inspection. Information on braced wall design. For buildings and structures utilizing braced wall design and where required by the building official, braced wall lines shall be identified on the construction documents. Pertinent information including, but not limited to, bracing methods, location and length of braced wall panels, and foundation requirements of braced wall panels at top and bottom shall be provided. Information for construction of flood hazard areas. For buildings and structures located in whole or in part in flood hazard areas as established by Table R301.2, construction documents shall include delineation of flood hazard areas, floodway boundaries, and flood zones, and the design flood elevation as appropriate. The elevation of the proposed lowest floor, including basement in area of shallow flooding AO zones, the height of the proposed lowest floor, including basement above the highest adjacent grade, the elevation of the bottom of the lowest horizontal structural member in coastal high hazard areas, V zone, and the coastal A zones, where such zones are delineated at floor hazard maps identified in Table R301.2 or otherwise delineated by the jurisdiction. If design flood elevations are not included on the community's flood assurance rate map, the building official and the applicant shall obtain and reasonably utilize any design flood elevations and floodway data available from other sources. Information on storm shelters. Construction documents from storm shelters shall include the information required in ICC 500. Site plan or plot plans. The construction documents submitted with the application for a permit shall be accompanied by a site plan showing the size and location of new construction and existing structures on the site and distances from lot lines. In the case of demolition, the site plan shall show construction to be demolished and the location and size of existing structures and construction that are to remain on the site or plot. The building official is authorized to waive or modify the requirements for a site plan where the application for a permit is for alteration or repair or where otherwise warranted. Examination of documents. The building official shall examine or cause to be examined construction documents for code compliance. Approval of construction documents. Where the building official issues a permit, the construction documents shall be approved in writing or by a stamp that states reviewed for code compliance. One set of construction documents so reviewed shall be retained by the building official. The other set shall be returned to the applicant. It shall be kept on the site of work and shall be opened to inspection by the building official or a duly authorized representative. Previous approvals. This code shall not require changes in the construction documents, construction, or designated occupancy of a structure for which a lawful permit has been heretofore issued or otherwise lawfully authorized, and the construction of which has been pursued in good faith within 180 days after the effective date of this code and has not been abandoned. Phased approval. The building official is authorized to issue a permit for the construction of foundations or any other part of a building or structure before the construction documents for the whole building or structure have been submitted, provided that adequate information and detailed statements have been filed complying with pertinent requirements of this code. The holder of such permit for the foundation or other parts of the building or structure shall proceed at the holder's own risk with the building operation and without assurance of a permit for the entire structure will be granted. Amended construction documents. Work shall be installed in accordance with the approved construction documents, and any changes made during construction that are not in compliance with the approved construction documents shall be resubmitted for approval as an amended set of construction documents. Retention of construction documents. One set of approved construction documents shall be retained by the building official for a period of not less than 180 days from date of completion of the permitted work or as required by state or local law. Section R107, Temporary Structures and Uses. The building official is authorized to issue a permit for temporary structures and temporary uses. Such permits shall be limited as to time of service, but shall not be permitted for more than 180 days. The building official is authorized to grant extensions for a demonstrated cause. Conformance. Temporary structures and uses shall conform to the structural strength, fire, safety, means of egress, light, ventilation, and sanitary requirements of this code as necessary to ensure the public health, safety, and general welfare. Temporary power. The building official is authorized to give permission to temporarily supply and use power in part of an electric installation before such installation has been fully completed and the final certificate of completion has been issued. The part covered by the temporary certificate shall comply with the requirements specified for temporary lighting, heat, or power in NFPA 70. Termination of approval. The building official is authorized to terminate such permit for a temporary structure or use and to order the temporary structure or use to be discontinued. Section 108, fees. Section R108, fees. Payment of fees. A permit shall not be valid until the fees prescribed by law have been paid, nor shall an amendment to a permit be released until the additional fee, if any, has been paid. Schedule of permit fees. On building structures, electrical, gas, mechanical, and plumbing systems, or alterations requiring a permit, a fee for each permit shall be paid as required in accordance with the schedule as established by the applicable governing authority. Building permit valuations shall include total values of the work for which a permit is being issued, such as electrical, gas, mechanical, plumbing, equipment, and other permanent systems, including materials and labor. Related fees. The payments of the fees for the construction, alteration, removal, or demolition for work done in connection to or concurrently with the work authorized by a building permit shall not relieve the applicant or holder of the permit from payment of other fees that are prescribed by law. Refunds. The building official is authorized to establish a refund policy. Work commencing before permit issuance. Anyone who commences work without I'm sorry, let me start over. Any person who commences work requiring a permit on a building, structure, electrical, gas, mechanical, or plumbing system before obtaining the necessary permits shall be subject to a fee established by the applicable governing authority that shall be in addition to the required permit fees. Section 109, Inspections. Type of inspections. For on-site construction, from time to time the building official, upon notification from the permit holder or his agent, shall make or cause to be made any necessary inspections and shall either approve that portion of the construction as completed or shall notify the permit holder or his or her agent wherein the same fails to comply with this code. Foundation inspections. Inspections of the foundation shall be made after poles or piers are set or trenches or basement areas are excavated and any required forms erected and any required reinforcing steel is in place and supported prior to the placing of concrete. Foundation inspections shall include excavations for thickened slabs intended for the support of bearing walls, partitions, structural supports, or equipment, and special requirements for wood foundations. Plumbing, mechanical, gas, and electrical system inspections. Rough inspections of plumbing, mechanical, gas, and electrical systems shall be made prior to covering or concealment, before fixtures or appliances are set or installed, and prior to framing inspections. Exceptions. Backfilling of ground source heat pump loop systems tested in accordance with Section M2105.28 prior to inspection shall be permitted. Floodplain inspections. For construction in flood hazard areas as established by Table R301.2, upon placement of the lowest floor, including basement and prior to further vertical construction, the building official shall require submission of documentation prepared and sealed by a registered design professional of the elevation of the lowest floor, including basement, required in Section R322. Frame and masonry inspection. Inspection of framing and masonry construction shall be made after the roof, masonry, framing, fire stopping, draft stopping, and bracing are in place, and after the plumbing, mechanical, and electrical rough inspections are approved. Other inspections. In addition to inspections in Section R109.1.1 through R109.1.4, the building official shall have the authority to make or require any other inspections to ascertain compliance with this code and other laws enforced by the building official. Fire resistance rated construction inspection. Where fire resistance rated construction is required between dwelling units or due to location on property, the building official shall require an inspection of such construction after lathing and gypsum board or gypsum panel products are in place, but before any plaster is applied or before board or panel joints and fasteners are taped and finished. Final inspection shall be made after the permitted work is completed and prior to occupancy. Elevation documentation. If located in a flood hazard area, the documentation of elevations required in Section R322.1.10 shall be submitted to the building official prior to the final inspection. Inspection agencies. The building official is authorized to accept reports of approved agencies, provided such agencies satisfy the requirements as to qualifications and reliability. Inspection requests. It shall be the duty of the permit holder or their agent to notify the building official that such work is ready for inspection. It shall be the duty of the person requesting any inspection required by this code to provide access to and means for inspection of such work. Approval required. Work shall not be done beyond the point indicated in each successive inspection without first obtaining the approval of the building official. The building official, upon notification, shall make the requested inspections and shall either indicate the portion of the construction that is satisfactory as completed, or shall notify the permit holder or an agent of the permit holder wherein the same fails to comply with this code. Any portions that do not comply shall be corrected, and such portions shall not be covered or concealed until authorized by the building official. Section R110, Certificate of Occupancy. Use and change of occupancy. A building or structure shall not be used or occupied in whole or in part, and a change of occupancy of a building or structure or portion thereof shall not be made until the building official has issued a certificate of occupancy. Therefore, as provided herein, issuance of a certificate of occupancy shall not be construed as an approval of a violation of the provisions of this code or other ordinances of the jurisdiction. Certificates presuming to give authority to violate or cancel the provisions of this code or other ordinances of the jurisdiction shall not be valid. Exceptions. Certificates of occupancy are not required for work exempt from permits under section R105.2. Accessory buildings or structures. Change in use. Changes in the character or use of an existing structure shall not be made except as specified in section 506 and 507 of the International Existing Building Code. Certificate issued. After the building official inspects the building or structure and does not find violations of the provisions of this code or other laws that are enforced by the department, the building official shall issue a certificate of occupancy containing the following: the permit number, the address of the structure, the name and address of the owner or owner's authorized agent, a description of that portion of the structure for which the certificate is issued, a statement that the described portion of the structure has been inspected and for compliance with the requirements of this code, the name of the building official, the edition of the code under which the permit was issued, where an automatic sprinkler system is provided and whether the sprinkler system is required, any special stipulations and conditions of the building permit. Temporary occupancy. The building official is authorized to issue a temporary certificate of occupancy before the completion of the entire work covered by the permit, provided that such portion or portions shall be occupied safely. The building official shall set a time period during which the temporary certificate of occupancy is valid. Revocation. The building official is authorized to suspend or revoke a certificate of occupancy issued under the provisions of this code in writing wherever the certificate is issued in error or on the basis of incorrect information supplied, or where it is determined that the building or structure or portion thereof is in violation of the provisions of this code or other ordinances of the jurisdiction. Section R111, Service Utilities. Connection of service utilities. A person shall not make connections from a utility, a source of energy, fuel, or power to any building or system that is regulated by this code for which a permit is required until approved by the building official. Temporary connections. The building official shall have the authority to authorize the temporary connection of the building or system to the utility source of energy, fuel, or power. Authority to disconnect service utilities. The building official shall have the authority to authorize disconnection of utility services to the building, structure, or system regulated by this code and the reference codes and standards set forth in section R102.4 in case of emergency where necessary to eliminate an immediate hazard to life or property, or where such utility connections has been made without the approval required by section R111.1 or R111.2. The building official shall notify the serving utility and, where possible, the owner or the owner's authorized agent and occupant of the building, structure, or service system of the decision to disconnect prior to taking such action. If not notified prior to disconnection, the owner, the owner's authorized agent, or occupant of the building, structure, or service system shall be notified in writing as soon as practical thereafter. Section R112, Board of Appeals. In order to hear and decide appeals of orders, decisions, or determinations made by the building official relative to the application and interpretation of this code, there shall be and is hereby created a Board of Appeals. The building official shall be an ex officio member of said board, but shall not have a vote on any matters before the board. The Board of Appeals shall be appointed by the governing body and shall hold office at its pleasure. The board shall adopt rules of procedure for conducting its business and shall render decisions and findings in writing to the appellant with a duplicate copy to the building official. Limitations of authority. An application for appeal shall be based on a claim that the true intent of the code or the rules legally adopted thereunder have been incorrectly interpreted. The provisions of the code do not fully apply or an equal, good, or better form of construction is proposed. The board shall not have authority to waive requirements of this code. Qualifications. The Board of Appeals shall consist of members who are qualified but experienced and training to pass judgment on matters pertaining to building construction and are not employees of the jurisdiction. Administration. The building official shall take immediate action in accordance with the decisions of the board. Section R113, Violations. Unlawful acts. It shall be unlawful for any person, firm, or corporation to erect, construct, alter, extend, repair, move, remove, demolish, or occupy any building, structure, or equipment regulated by this code, or cause same to be done in conflict with or in violation of any of the provisions of this code. Notice of violation. The building official is authorized to serve a notice of violation or order on the person responsible for the erection, construction, alteration, extension, repair, moving, removal, demolition, or occupancy of a building or structure in violation of the provisions of this code or in violation of a detailed statement or a plan approved thereunder or in violation of a permit or certificate issued under the provisions of this code. Such order shall direct the discontinuance of a legal action or condition and the abatement of the violation. Prosecution of violation. If the notice of violation is not complied with in the time prescribed by such notice, the building official is authorized to request the legal counsel of the jurisdiction to institute the appropriate proceedings at law or in equity to restrain, correct, or abate such violations, or to require the removal or termination of the unlawful occupancy of the building or structure in violation of the provisions of this code or of the order of direction made pursuant thereto. Violation penalties. Any person who violates a provision of this code or fails to comply with any of the requirements thereof, or who erects, constructs, alters, or repairs a building or structure in violation of the approved construction documents or directive of the building official, or of a permit or certificate issued under the provisions of this code shall be subject to penalties as prescribed by law. Section R114, Stop Work Order. Authority. Where the building official finds any work regulated by this code being performed in a manner contrary to the provisions of this code or in a dangerous or unsafe manner, the building official is authorized to issue a stop work order. The stop work order shall be in writing and shall be given to the owner of the property, the owner's authorized agent, or the person performing the work. Upon issuance of a stop work order, the cited work shall immediately cease. The stop work order shall state the reason for the order and the conditions under which the cited work is authorized to resume. Emergencies. Where an emergency exists, the building official shall not be required to give a written notice prior to stopping the work. Failure to comply. Any person who shall continue any work after having been served with a stop work order, except such work as the person is directed to perform to remove a violation or unsafe condition, shall be subject to fines established by the authority having jurisdiction. And I believe that is the end of Chapter 1.